What if the only thing standing between you and your best life is you, not the world, not your past, not your limits, but the rules you refuse to follow? Sounds harsh. It's meant to be. Because here's the truth most people never hear. You're not tired, you're just distracted. You're not lost, you're just unfocused. And deep down, you already know that. That's why you're here. That's why something inside you is still searching, still hungry, still whispering that you were made for more. But amore doesn't come from wishes, it comes from rules. And these rules? They're not comfortable. They're not easy. But they work. And if you stay with this message till the end, you'll walk away with a mindset that no fear, no failure, no excuse can break. That's not a promise. It's a challenge. Most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they bought into a lie. A soft, gentle lie that says it's okay to wait. It's okay to be average. It's okay to try again later. Lies, they feel safe, feel warm, but they kill, slowly, silently. They drain your potential, drop by drop, until one day you wake up and realize years have passed and you haven't moved. That's the nightmare nobody talks about. Not the pain of working hard, but the regret of doing nothing. That's the weight that crushes people. And the scariest part? Most of them never saw it coming because they were busy scrolling, numbing, escaping. If you want to become the best version of yourself, the first thing you need to accept is that comfort is the enemy. Not struggle, not failure, comfort, comfort. It tricks your mind into thinking you're fine when you're actually falling behind. It convinces you to celebrate survival when you were born to lead. And the longer you live in it, the harder it becomes to leave it. You start defending it. You call it peace. You call it balance. You call it balance. But deep inside, you know, it's not peace. It's quiet defeat. And here's the truth that should hit you like a storm. Becoming your best self isn't about doing what feels right. It's about doing what's right, even when it doesn't feel good. The road to greatness isn't lined with motivation and applause. It's built on late nights, early mornings, and choices nobody claps for. But those choices, they shape you. They carve out the strength you didn't know you had. Every sacrifice becomes a brick. Every hard decision becomes a foundation. You don't become the best by waiting. You become the best by deciding, right here, right now. You choose to stop playing small. You choose to stop making excuses. You choose to stop blaming the world and start mastering yourself. Because that's the only thing you've ever truly had control over, yourself. Not the traffic, not the economy, not what they did or didn't do, just you. So ask yourself this: what would your life look like if you followed the rules that champions live by? How far could you go if you stopped breaking promises to yourself? You don't need permission. You don't need more time. You need a standard, a fire, a reason that burns so deep it makes every excuse melt.
That's what this message gives you. That's why this voice is here. Stay till the end. Not for me, for you.
Because when it's over, you won't just be inspired. You'll be armed. Armed with clarity, with strength, with direction. With direction. And maybe for the first time in a long time, with belief. Let's go. You say you want change. You say you want to be the best. But are you willing to face the truth about who you are right now? That's where everything begins. Not with dreams, not with vision boards, not with affirmations, but with truth. Truth. Raw, unfiltered, uncomfortable truth. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you'll never grow. You'll keep dressing up your excuses and calling them reasons. You'll keep convincing yourself that you're trying when deep down you're avoiding the work, avoiding the mirror, avoiding responsibility, saying no to the temptation of comfort, saying no to conversations that go nowhere. Not because you're rude, not because you're better, but because you have something to build. And the cost of that build is your full attention, nothing less. The mind craves clarity. It needs direction. It needs direction. And it cannot operate at full power if it's constantly distracted. Think about this. Every time you switch tasks, your brain takes time to refocus. Every interruption sets you back. It's not just about wasting minutes. It's about breaking your momentum. And when you break momentum, you break progress. That's why cutting the noise isn't optional. It's essential. You were not born to be average, but the world is loud, and average is easy to imitate. The path to becoming the best requires silence. It requires solitude. It requires stepping away from what's popular so you can get closer to what's purposeful.
You don't need everyone's input?
You don't need constant validation. You need space to think, space to grow, space to hear your own voice again. Every moment you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your life. You take a step away from chaos and a step closer to mastery. You take control back from the algorithms, the distractions, the noise, and you put it back where it belongs, in your hands. If you want to be great, build a life that supports greatness. Cut the noise. Build boundaries. Build boundaries. Protect your focus like your future depends on it. Because it does. When you cut the noise and protect your focus, something strange happens. You start to feel the discomfort you were running from. The silence gets louder. The work feels heavier. The excuses that once masked the truth begin to fade. And now you're left with what actually moves you forward, pain. But here's what most people don't understand. Pain isn't the enemy. It's the door. The very thing you're avoiding is the thing that holds the key to your next level. Growth doesn't happen in ease. It doesn't happen when things feel good. It happens when you push through resistance. When your mind tells you to stop and you keep going anyway. That's when something inside you shifts. Because the moment you realize you can endure what you once thought would break you, a new version of you is born. Not a weaker one, a stronger one. A focused one that doesn't run from pain but runs toward it. Psychologically, the human brain is wired to avoid discomfort. That's natural. But that instinct is the very thing holding most people back. The greatest minds, the highest performers, the most disciplined leaders, they all learn to reverse that wiring. They train themselves to lean into the hard, to chase the struggle. Because they knew what most people ignore. Pain is the price for power. It shapes your mindset. It builds your threshold. It forces you to rise. Every time you choose the hard path, you build calluses on your character. You become more resilient, more patient, more dangerous in the best way possible. Pain gives you perspective. It shows you what you're made of. It humbles you. It teaches you that real strength isn't loud. It's forged in silence and sweat and days where nobody claps and everything hurts. But still, you keep moving. That's power. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but it steals your potential long-term. Pain, on the other hand, plants something inside you. A kind of fire, a kind of edge. It teaches you that effort is never wasted, that the struggle itself is what builds the result. When you suffer with purpose, you evolve, and that evolution makes you unstoppable. The ones who win are not always the most talented, but they are always the most willing. Willing to suffer, willing to delay gratification, willing to walk through fire for what they believe in. That kind of person becomes immune to failure. Not because they never fall, but because pain no longer scares them. They don't break when it gets hard. They grow. That's the difference. So instead of avoiding the pain, start seeking it. Pick the challenge. Take the cold shower. Do the extra set. Have the hard conversation. Wake up before you want to. Stay longer than feels comfortable. Because every time you do, you're showing your future self that you're ready. Not just ready to win, but ready to earn it. There is no version of becoming the best that skips pain. There is no shortcut, no hack, no backdoor. There is only the road, and that road will test you. It will stretch you, but it will also reveal you. And once you meet the version of yourself that pain produces, you'll never want to be anyone else again. Once you learn to seek pain on purpose, you unlock a version of yourself you've never met before. A version that's not scared. A version that's not waiting. A version that doesn't beg for approval or chase comfort. But if you truly want to become the best, not just once, but for life, you need to go deeper. Because following the rules isn't enough. You have to become the kind of person who lives by them. And that begins with your identity. Human psychology is built around one truth. You will always act like the person you believe you are. If you believe you're undisciplined, you'll keep proving it. If you believe you're weak, you'll keep finding reasons to stay small. And if you believe you're stuck, you'll keep seeing obstacles instead of openings. Your mind creates patterns to match the identity you hold. That's why change doesn't last unless identity shifts. If you want to live like the best, you must think like the best. And more than that, you must believe you are becoming the best. This is where most people fall short. They try to change their habits without changing how they see themselves. They try to take new action with the same old identity. That's why they snap back to the same routines, the same distractions, the same self-doubt. Because deep down, they never stop seeing themselves as average. But you are not average. You are not born to blend in. And if you're willing to make that decision, truly make it, everything changes. Start speaking to yourself like someone you respect. Stop saying, I hope I can. Start saying, this is who I am now. Start acting like the person you want to become, even before you feel ready, because repetition rewires belief, and belief becomes identity. And once your identity shifts, your actions become automatic. You don't have to try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You don't have to fight for focus. You are focused. You don't have to chase success. You are the kind of person success follows. Identity is built through consistency.
Yeah.
Every day you show up, every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you fight through doubt, you're casting a vote for the person you want to be. Not just once, over and over until that version of you becomes normal. Until you no longer need to fake it, because now it's who you are. That's who you are. The journey to becoming the best starts with rules, but it ends with transformation. Real, permanent transformation. And that transformation doesn't happen when the world believes in you. It happens when you believe in you. It happens when you believe in you. When you stop waiting to feel worthy and start acting like you already are. Not because you're perfect, but because you're committed. You don't rise by chance. You rise by choice. You choose to build your mind. You choose to sharpen your habits. You choose to protect your energy. And you choose every single day to walk the path that most people avoid. That's not easy, but it's powerful. And once you own that identity, once you claim it, there's no going back. Becoming the best is not something you chase. It's someone you become. Quietly, relentlessly, permanently. And once you arrive there, the world won't need to be told. It'll feel it.